Chosen ones, your power isn't asleep, it's simply waiting on you to wake it up. And when you do, this world won't know what hit it. Have you ever felt this burning tension inside, like your soul was made to shake foundations, disrupt darkness, and liberate others, yet you feel stuck in the shadows, unsure how to access that fire? You're not alone, and you're not crazy. That feeling is real, and it's divine. You were made to carry weight in the spirit, not to blend in, but to stand out as a force of God's light. Let's rewind to the story of Elisha, not Elijah, the prophet who called down fire, but his spiritual successor. When Elijah was taken up into heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha didn't crumble. He didn't say, "Woe is me." Instead, he picked up his mentor's cloak, the symbol of prophetic authority, and walked straight to the Jordan River. With courage and expectation, he struck the water and asked, "Where is the God of Elijah?" And in that instant, the river parted. Why? Because the same spirit that worked through Elijah now flowed in Elisha. The mantle was a trigger, but the power, it was already him. That miracle wasn't a beginning. It was an activation. That's you, right now. You're standing at the edge of your own Jordan. The water may look intimidating, and the cloak may feel too big, but heaven is watching to see if you'll strike. You don't need a platform, a crowd, or a title. You need boldness. You need obedience. The power of God has already been wired into your spirit. It's part of your divine DNA. Scripture doesn't say you have a gift. It says you. 1 Timothy 4:14 commands us, do not neglect the gift that is in you. Why? Because that gift is disruptive. It breaks generational curses. It opens eyes. It transforms atmospheres. But here's the catch. It only activates when you take action. So if life feels on pause right now, don't confuse stillness with stagnation. God often prepares before he reveals. That restlessness you're feeling, that's your calling knocking. The season is shifting. What once lay dormant is now stirring. Chosen one, grab your spiritual armor, pick up that mantle. Step into your God-given authority, because when you move, the heavens respond. It's time to stop waiting for permission and start living on mission. Your power has always been there. Now it's your time to activate it. Point 1, you were not chosen to be silent. Speak what God planted in you. Many chosen ones are quiet warriors, not because we lack power, but because we've been trained to hide it. From childhood, we were often told things like, don't make waves, tone it down, you're too sensitive, or just be normal. Sound familiar? That wasn't harmless advice, it was conditioning. Conditioning meant to suppress divine power before it fully bloomed, but the truth is, we were never meant to blend in. God didn't hand us the sword of discernment and the armor of wisdom so we could sit quietly in the background. He didn't ignite spiritual fire in us to have us whisper into corners. He anointed us to disrupt, to speak life, to call down truth, and to shift spiritual atmospheres. He didn't choose you to be wallpaper, he chose you to be a wall breaker. Now let's get a little scientific here to spice things up. Your voice isn't just noise, it's a frequency, a literal frequency. According to research in sound therapy and quantum physics, sound waves can change matter. There's an experiment called cymatics where different frequencies are played under a plate of sand, and the sand rearranges itself into intricate patterns based on the sound. That means your voice isn't just sound, it's structure, it's energy, it's transformation. When you speak with divine intention, your voice doesn't just travel, it builds. Proverbs 18:21 wasn't being poetic when it said, death and life are in the power of the tongue. That's physics, that's truth. And when a chosen one opens their mouth with authority, heaven responds. Spiritual frequencies align. Angels take notice. The devil, he gets nervous. Why? Because every syllable you speak in truth is a strike against deception. Your words carry kingdom weight. They can break curses, inspire deliverance, and expose darkness. But here's the catch. The enemy knows that. That's why you've been attacked in your throat, your confidence, your clarity, and your voice. He wants you silent. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous when you speak. People around you may start reacting the moment you stand in your truth. You're too much. That was harsh. You're being dramatic. No, you're being authentic. You're not too loud. You're finally resonating at your true spiritual volume. And guess what? That makes people uncomfortable, especially those who have silenced their own truths for the sake of fitting in. Your voice reminds them of everything they've chosen to ignore. That's not on you. Let them wrestle with their discomfort. You keep rising. You weren't meant to blend in. You were born to blaze trails. And using your voice doesn't mean you have to stand on a stage or gather millions of followers. Sometimes it's as quiet and radical as telling your truth during a family dinner. Sometimes it's confronting injustice in a meeting. Sometimes it's praying out loud, interceding for someone who doesn't even know you're fighting for them in the spirit. That's how you shift atmospheres, by choosing to show up, speak up, and stand tall in truth, even when your voice shakes. When you align your words with heaven's frequency, you're not just communicating, you're activating. And in that activation, chains break, darkness trembles, healing flows. You become a conduit, not of ego, but of divine power. That's not fiction, that's not motivational fluff. That's spiritual reality. And you've had that power in you all along. So here's your call, chosen one. Stop playing small to protect other people's insecurities. Stop muzzling your voice to keep the peace in rooms that were never meant to contain your light. Stop thinking silence will keep you safe. It won't. Your voice was never meant to be buried. It was meant to be unleashed with holy boldness, with kingdom fire, with unapologetic clarity. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Speak now, declare now, shake the ground with your truth now. You're not too much. You're exactly what this moment needs. Activate the gift. The world is listening. Heaven is watching, and hell is already nervous. Point 2, your isolation was training, not punishment. You've been sitting with questions, haven't you? Wondering why the calls stopped, why your circle went silent, why the group chats dried up, and the folks who used to say they loved you now act like you're invisible. One day you're surrounded by laughs, messages, check-ins, and the next crickets. Ghosted by your own tribe, faded out like background noise in a world you used to thrive in. And if we're being honest, you've probably asked yourself, what did I do wrong? But here's the divine truth. You didn't fall off. Your light turned up. You see, growth is often misunderstood when your spirit elevates, when your frequency rises, when you start seeing through illusions and shaking off what no longer serves you. People feel it, and not everyone can handle it. Not everyone wants you to evolve. Some folks were only cool with you when you were struggling, doubting, needing their validation. But when you stopped asking for approval and started listening to your inner knowing, boom, they disappeared. Not because you changed for the worse, but because you grew beyond their comfort zone. And let me hit you with this truth bomb. God will remove people when he's about to reveal purpose. It's spiritual law. Look at every chosen vessel throughout history and scripture. Before elevation comes isolation. It's called divine obscurity. Jesus himself spent 30 years in complete anonymity. 30. Not because he wasn't powerful, but because power without preparation is dangerous. He wasn't hiding. He was being forged in silence. David was dismissed by his father, left out in the field, tending sheep like a nobody. But that field was a training ground for a throne. So when your circle shrank, when you started dining alone, when the people who once celebrated you started sounding distant or even bitter, that wasn't abandonment. That was spiritual insulation. God was drawing you inward so you'd stop leaning on broken cisterns and start drawing from the living well inside you. You weren't being rejected. You were being re-centered. And in that stillness, you didn't just wait. You transformed, quietly, powerfully. You got back in alignment. You faced the hard truths. You healed the wounds they didn't even know you carried. You upgraded. And the world didn't see it because God wanted it that way. Just like a seed breaks open underground before it ever sprouts, your roots were growing deep in darkness, anchoring you for the impact ahead. Let's be clear, what looked like loneliness was a launch pad. While they thought you fell off, you were actually leveling up. That silence, sacred. That loneliness, strategic. You weren't meant to be seen during that season because visibility would have brought interference. God needed your vision protected, your spirit detoxed from the influence of shallow voices, and your character strong enough to carry what's coming. And now, it's different. You've passed the test. You've endured the quiet nights, the misunderstood moments, the humbling work behind the scenes. You've been broken open to be built back better. The training wheels are off. The anointing has matured. The time in the wilderness has made you immune to people-pleasing and toughened your soul for purpose. You no longer need a crowd to feel valid because now you carry clarity. You don't crave attention. You channel assignment. So here's what's next. Activate. No more dimming your shine because it made others squint. No more lowering your standards to make room for people who can't match your depth. No more waiting for a seat at their table when God's been preparing a throne. You didn't lose family, you shed old frequencies. You didn't lose friends, you lost distractions. They thought you didn't notice their shade, their mockery, their absence. But you saw it all and you didn't react because real power doesn't prove, it becomes. Now they sit with their regret, their guilt, their missed opportunity to grow with you. And you rise with peace, with purpose, with power so refined that the very silence that once felt empty now echoes like thunder. You are not who you were. You've evolved, elevated, expanded. And while they were watching your pause, they missed your preparation. Now comes the reveal. No bitterness needed, just excellence. Let them wonder how you turned the pain into purpose and the silence into strategy. Step out, chosen one. Heaven didn't hide you to hold you back. It hid you to launch you uninterrupted. Now is your moment. The silence was sacred, but this season is for sound. Point 3, you carry heaven's blueprints. It's time to build. Chosen ones, you're not just dreamers, you're divine builders. Let's get one thing straight, Earth Angel. You weren't sent here just to dream. You were sent here to build. You carry blueprints in your soul, sacred designs. Heaven slipped into your spirit while the world was still asleep. That weird idea you keep dismissing, that vision that visits you in the quiet moments, that's not your imagination running wild. It's a divine assignment knocking at the door of your destiny. You see, chosen ones don't follow trends. We disrupt them. You weren't made to imitate. You were made to innovate. You weren't born to ask for a place at someone else's table. You were born to build your own, with chairs that pull others into purpose. The world may try to squeeze you into a mold, to silence your originality, to get you to tone it down. But what they don't realize is that your uniqueness isn't a flaw. It's your feature, it's your weapon, it's your superpower. History proves it. Those who changed the world were once ridiculed for thinking differently. Nikola Tesla's inventions were considered madness. Harriet Tubman followed a vision others feared. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before returning to revolutionize technology. And let's not forget Noah. He built a giant ark in the middle of dry land because he obeyed a divine whisper. Everyone laughed until it started raining. That's the part they always forget. So why are you still hiding your vision in a notebook? Why are you keeping your brilliance locked away in your mind, rehearsing it in silence but never letting it breathe? God doesn't download blueprints for decoration. He gives them so you can build. You don't need every detail to begin. You don't need the world's approval. You just need the courage to start. Faith is the foundation, and action is the hammer that brings heaven's design into reality. Psychology even backs this up. Studies show that people who engage in active creation, whether it's writing, designing, building, or leading, experience higher levels of fulfillment and mental well-being. You were wired to create because your spirit is made in the image of the Creator. You don't need external permission to walk in your assignment. You are the permission, and yes, at first, people will side-eye your moves. They'll say you're doing too much or trying to be different. But one day, they'll be quoting your words, mimicking your strategies and teaching your methods like scripture. That's the paradox of purpose. It's mocked before it's marveled, so activate it. Dust off the vision. Take one step, then another. Build when it's uncomfortable. Move when it doesn't make sense. Don't wait for a round of applause. Heaven's already standing. You're not just a dreamer. You're the architect of divine disruption. Now build. Point 4. Your presence disrupts demonic patterns. Ever notice how the energy in a room changes the moment you walk in? How laughter suddenly fades, whispers begin, or certain people get visibly uncomfortable. You're not imagining it. That isn't paranoia knocking at your door, it's presence. And not just any presence. It's the kind of presence that comes with spiritual voltage. You carry something deep, something divine, something that can't be copied, imitated, or ignored. That something is your light. And light, by its very nature, disrupts darkness. Scientifically speaking, light always wins in the presence of darkness. You walk into a dark room, flip a switch, and instantly darkness vanishes. It doesn't put up a fight. It doesn't negotiate. It flees, and just like that, when you enter spaces, classrooms, meetings, family dinners, friend groups, your internal divine frequency causes a shift in atmosphere. That sudden, awkward silence, that uneasy laughter, those side eyes, that's your light doing exactly what it was designed to do. disrupt what's hidden. You're not there to fit in, you're there to expose what doesn't align. Spiritually speaking, your aura functions like spiritual sonar. It detects deception, tension, envy, and fake vibes like a sixth sense. You may not even say a word, but people feel you coming from across the room. Why? Because your energy doesn't whisper, it announces. And when you're spiritually aligned, your very existence holds people accountable, especially those who aren't living in truth. Think about it. Some folks don't even know why they don't like you. You've been kind, respectful, even silent at times, and still they squirm. Why? Because you trigger the parts of them they try to hide. You remind them of what they're not doing, of who they pretend to be. Your confidence, your peace, your authenticity, it's a mirror they didn't ask to look into. But here's the catch. Don't let that make you shrink. So many of us, when we start to feel that energy shift, get tempted to pull back. We soften our shine. We dim our light to make others comfortable. But understand this, you were never sent to a room to blend in. You were sent to elevate it. You are a spiritual thermostat, not a thermometer. You're not here to measure the temperature, you're here to set it. The awkwardness, it's confirmation. The tension, it's proof. You're already activated, your frequency is higher than average, and anything that doesn't match it has to shift, leave, or transform. God didn't wire you for background energy. You are meant to be the current. You are the reminder that authenticity still exists. You are the answer to prayers others haven't even had the courage to pray yet. So don't apologize for who you are. Don't try to make yourself small so insecure people can breathe easier. Take up that space. Own your energy. Walk boldly into every room like you belong, because spiritually, you were already there before you arrived. Your presence is a message, your light is a sermon, your vibe is the sermon note people didn't expect but needed. Let it activate, let it speak, let it shift the room. Point 5. You are a spiritual mirror. People see themselves around you. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt the energy shift? Some people light up when they see you. Others grow tense, distant, or even oddly aggressive. No middle ground, no gray area. It's either admiration or aversion, love or low-key loathing. Ever wonder why that happens? Here's the truth. You're a spiritual mirror. And that's not just poetic language. It's deeply psychological and profoundly spiritual. When your soul is authentic, when your energy is clear and unfiltered, it reflects the hidden corners of other people's inner worlds. That reflection is uncomfortable for those who haven't done their inner work. It's like you're holding up a divine mirror, and suddenly they see their own unresolved wounds, insecurities, pretenses, and shadows. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." So when people react to you with discomfort or hostility without clear reason, it's not always about what you did, it's about what they see in themselves through you. Think about it, your purity, your peace, your presence, it challenges the performative layers others have spent years constructing. Your authenticity confronts their false personas. Your spiritual light exposes what's lurking in the dark corners of their character. It's not personal, it's spiritual. But oh, does it feel personal? This is especially true when you don't fit into the molds people expect. When you're not easily manipulated, when you don't dim your light to keep others comfortable, when you speak truth in a world addicted to flattery, you become a threat. Not because you've harmed anyone, but because your very existence is a spiritual wake-up call. And many would rather silence the alarm than get out of bed. But here's the powerful part, that uncomfortable mirror you carry. It's working. It's forcing people to see, even if they resist. And some of them, quietly, privately, will start to grow because of it. You won't always get credit, and that's okay. Seeds don't need applause to sprout, so don't shrink, don't change, don't mold yourself into something easier to digest. You're not fast food, you're spiritual nourishment. Some people simply aren't ready to feed on truth. That doesn't mean you stop serving it. Being spiritually pure doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real, being grounded, being connected to something deeper than ego or trends or applause, and in doing so you awaken others. Some with love, some with resistance, but you awaken them nonetheless. That's dangerous power, not destructive power, transformative power. And yes, it unsettles people, it's meant to. So the next time someone distances themselves, throws shade, or gives you that uncomfortable vibe for simply existing in truth, don't absorb it, observe it. It's confirmation, not condemnation. You're doing something right. The mirror is clear. Keep showing up, keep being you. Because every time you do, you're participating in a spiritual revolution. Quiet, invisible, but undeniable. The world doesn't need more echoes, it needs mirrors. And you, dear soul, are one of the rare few brave enough to reflect what others are afraid to face. Activate that power. Stand in it. Stay in it. Because someone's breakthrough might just begin with your refusal to be anything other than your true self. Point 6. The gift is already in you. Stop waiting for permission. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need 10 more prophecies. God already told you what to do. Let's sit with that for a second. How many times have you found yourself replaying the same message over and over in your head, looking for signs, begging for clarity, asking for yet another word, when deep down you already know what God said? You know it not just in your mind, but in your spirit. It's that gentle, unmistakable nudge that keeps showing up in your dreams, your quiet time, your conversations, your frustrations. But here's the truth. Many chosen ones hesitate, not because they didn't hear God, but because they're afraid of the weight that comes with obedience. You're not alone in that. See, chosen ones, those spiritually marked by God for a purpose, tend to feel life on a whole different frequency. You don't just hear things, you discern them. You don't just see people, you read them. And because of this, the world can feel loud, harsh, and confusing. It makes sense why you'd pause, why you'd want 10 more confirmations before you leap. But God's not repeating himself because he didn't stutter the first time. Here's a wild truth. You're waiting for permission from people God never sent. People who weren't in the room when he whispered your assignment. People who can't carry what you carry and can't even see what you see. That hesitation to step into your calling, it's not about lack of clarity, it's about misplaced approval. And God is gently saying, stop asking them. Ask me, then go. This is the season where fog is part of the faith. It's the season where God is challenging you to move without having all the answers. Do you remember how Abraham left everything behind without knowing where he was going? Hebrews 11:8. Or how Moses led a nation with nothing but a staff and a word from God. These were flawed, scared, hesitant people, but they moved anyway. And that's what separated them from the crowd. Right now, God is saying, I put it in you. Why are you still asking me to give it again? He's not giving you more instructions because he already equipped you. That vision, he gave it to you. That gift, it's already active. You don't need to find more reasons. You need to find your courage. The kind that acts while still afraid, the kind that moves while it's still foggy. That's what walking by faith really is. So stop rehearsing the same doubts. Stop shrinking your power just to make others comfortable. Stop telling God you're not ready when he already called you chosen. Say yes, move, speak, build, launch, start, heal, write, sing, lead. You already have the oil. Now pour it, activate it. Because delayed obedience is still disobedience. And while you're waiting, someone else is suffering because your gift hasn't been released yet. Chosen one, the world doesn't need more hesitation, it needs your obedience. So walk it out, even in the fog. Point 7, your activation unlocks others. You're a catalyst. This isn't just about you, it never was. When you activate your calling, when you step into your divine assignment with boldness and faith, you set off a chain reaction that reaches far beyond your personal life. Your decision to rise isn't selfish, it's spiritual, it's transformational. Why? Because your fire lights other torches. Let's break that down. In psychology, there's something called mirror neurons, the part of our brain that reacts when we observe someone else doing something. When someone sees you walking in confidence, living with purpose, and thriving in your lane, their brain literally lights up with the possibility that they can do it too. You become more than inspiration. You become proof, evidence, living, breathing, undeniable proof that rising is possible, that faith works, that being chosen means being called to influence. You see, you're not just a chosen one, you're a catalyst. A catalyst, by definition, is something that causes change without being changed itself. That's what your presence does. You enter a space and the atmosphere shifts. You speak and people pay attention. Not because you're loud, but because you carry weight, spiritual weight, purpose weight. And for some people, your presence is their permission slip to step out of the darkness and into their own destiny. Some people won't awaken until they see you walk in your full power. They've heard sermons, read books, watched motivational talks, but it wasn't until they saw you overcome, you glow up, you forgive, you rebuild, that they truly believed it was possible. When you shine, they believe they can too. Think of Harriet Tubman. She wasn't just a chosen one, she was a torchbearer. She didn't just escape slavery, she went back and lit the way for others. That's what chosen ones do. They activate the dormant greatness in others. They're the voice in the silence, the strength in the storm, the hope in the chaos. That's you. Here's the thing. You can't do that if you're dimming your light to make others comfortable. You weren't created to hide. You were created to ignite. The world doesn't need another watered-down version of you. It needs your fire, your truth, your obedience to your calling, your dangerous power, the kind that breaks generational curses, the kind that silences shame, the kind that makes hell nervous. Yes, it's dangerous, not because it harms, but because it disrupts. It exposes lies, it awakens spirits, it flips the script and turns victims into victors. But chosen one, that danger is divine, and it's not meant to stay locked away inside you like a secret. It's meant to be released. So activate it for you, for them, for the kingdom. Because when God puts that kind of power inside you, it's not a suggestion, it's a responsibility. You're not just carrying potential, you're carrying assignments, answers, blueprints, and healing. Someone's breakthrough is connected to your yes. Someone's confidence is tied to your courage. When you walk into your fullness, you don't just change your life, you change legacy, you change lineage. You show people what's possible when they trust God, face their fears, and stop playing small. So no more hiding, no more waiting for the right time. The time is now, the people are watching, and heaven is backing you. Chosen one, you are the spark that sets divine destinies on fire, so light it up. The world is waiting. Chosen ones, this is your spiritual wake-up call. Your gift is not just a gift, it's a weapon. Your presence is not just unique, it's disruptive. Your silence has expired. It's time to speak, to build, to shine, and to move. You were never meant to be average. You were meant to be anointed. Don't let fear steal your fire. Don't let people shrink your purpose. You are a dangerous weapon in the hands of God. So walk like it, activate it. The world is waiting.